Welcome everyone to episode number, man, I always get these wrong, 13.
Lucky number 13.
Lucky. I don't know that it's so lucky, but we'll find out. Let's see how today fares. Barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce.
We're thinking of the topics, and my wife's like, I need to find a quote from a movie that has barbecue sauce. And I'm like, that is the line. Anybody who has seen Ted Lasso. And she's like, okay, fine. So barbecue sauce is what we're calling it today. And there's a reason.
Yep. There is a reason. I think it's a good one.
And let's bring him in.
Yeah.
Drum roll. Whoops. We're both
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome.
Mr. King Bob.
So I didn't bring any darts. So, and my dart game is not on fire. But I did bring barbecue sauce.
What kind of barbecue sauce would that be?
That would be barbecue sauce, Ed Gail BBQ. So, Ed, if you're in the audience, we're like giving you free promotion right here. So, including said T-shirt.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing Ed's. How he's been on his world tour here. He makes his own barbecue sauce then?
Yeah, he makes his
own.
Oh,
he's a competition pitmaster.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
He does barbecue
How
competitions.
does he have time to do all this Jira stuff?
How do we have time to do all this Jira stuff?
That is the question.
No, I did not know that. I am a sucker for barbecue sauce. There's a place called Sugar Fire back in St. Louis but I have a place out in St. Louis.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Because Texas barbecue is just better.
Really? I can't say that I've ever had Texas barbecue.
And all you had was St. Louis? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that's a step up, though, right? Because I made a comment to Bob in one of my LinkedIn posts, right? Barbecue my entire life growing up was burgers and hot dogs, and then I went to the Midwest and I was like, "What are the burgers and hot dogs?" And everybody's like, "That ain't no barbecue."
So that's a grill.
Yeah, what you've been talking is grilling. That's what I'm doing. On Monday on Labor Day.
No, that's our barbecue on what we typically do for our barbecue.
I'm just saying, Alex, if you come visit here for your own safety, I would have to insist you do not say that ever. Them are some fighting words.
So don't say that and don't say Hotlanta.
Yeah, you're getting it.
There's a list growing now.
How to Survive in Atlanta 101 by Rod. Hope you're okay with the hurricane. I know I survived mine.
Yeah, it was actually a non-event for us. We got a little bit of rain, but most of it went south, which, to be honest, I'm not happy with because we really desperately needed the rain.
Yeah. So barbecue jokes aside, Bob, why don't you walk us through how did yesterday go? Sorry I missed it. I contemplated the 10-hour round trip, but
you missed quite the event. People enjoyed the food. It was a fantastic fireside chat with Justine Davis, who is the VP of product marketing for Agile and DevOps for that portfolio for Atlassian. So she's got under her portfolio, Jira software, Jira Service Management, Jira Product Discovery, Bitbucket, Compass, all the fun tools for DevOps. So
a better question is, what is not under her portfolio?
Apparently Trello.
By the way, we are going to have Brittany join us here in a couple of weeks, and I've been telling my wife that not to spoil it for anybody, but we're going to do something clever with the thumbnail. And
you're gonna do like a big old X on it, right? This Trello life,
man, is that obvious? That's exactly what we're gonna do. We're just gonna cross out the Jira life and call it the Trello life. Because she's like, but Alex, what am I gonna talk about? I don't do Jira, and I'm like, don't worry, we're gonna rebrand to just Trello for that day.
I've done it.
What were some of the memorable moments that yesterday, Bob? Anything fun?
So a lot of interesting questions. We asked Justine, what are some of the accomplishments that she's proud to have shepherded since Team 2023? And she was waiting and ready. She had like pages of notes, and she was identifying a few things. Her personal favorite is, of course, dark mode.
Which I was on a call with one of the customer success managers, and she jumps into Confluence, and it's dark, and I'm like, ooh. And she's like, what? And I'm like, why is it dark? And she's like, don't you have that? I'm like, no. I wish. But Confluence dark mode apparently is in the works.
Yeah. So other accomplishments that she was, getting your product discovery out of beta and into GA. Hello, Damien. Welcome to the Peanut Gallery. I can't type that, so I'm just gonna say it. Few other things. And on cloud, increasing the number of users up to 50,000. So
it still blows my mind that companies have that many users.
Really?
Yeah, because I get that companies are large, right? But having 50,000, that's a lot. That's a very expensive bill.
I mean, you're paying a pretty penny for that at that point. There is no doubt about it. But I've seen companies that large before.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of companies, right? Like I worked in big 100,000 plus companies, right? But we had just the developers in there. So we had like 2,000 users, 4,000 users, 5,000.
But now we have Jira Work Management and Jira Product Discovery and JSM and all these other Jira flavors that can bring everybody on board.
We're the Oprahs of licenses. You get a license. You get a license. I did talk to, when I talked to Anu not too long ago, I was telling her, hey, it would be great if we had like a stakeholder license in Jira software, because I think that would just blow people over.
Yeah.
At least to read only, man. Just to touch. I mean, just to see. No touching. I want to look at something.
Read only is one thing, but I would have to insist if it is read only, they at least have comment permissions.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So kind of like what some of the other plugins do, like external share for Jira and stuff like that. But yeah, comment and obviously, but being able to at least look at like a dashboard, right? Look at those gadgets. I think it'd just be a game changer, because like so many of the other tools are pretty popular because they have these stakeholder licenses. And we don't want to lose. We don't want Atlassian to lose market share.
So I'm kind of wondering here, and it's actually kind of mirroring a problem, right? There's a situation where I'm being asked about using Tempo for timesheets to do time reporting for an entire organization, because Tempo is at its core, because it's a add-on to Jira. That basically means that to do time reporting at an organization level, anybody who has to submit a timesheet and have a Tempo license has to have a Jira license. So maybe the idea of having these different classes of licenses might help in that regard, where if you're a stakeholder, true, you have read-only access, but another application of that would be it entitles you to a Tempo license so that you can do things like, submit your timesheet or do capacity planning.
How about, though, flipping the script the other way? Because the way I would have approached it would be, and Ed, wait, first of all, Ed, did you see the promo for the barbecue sauce?
Okay. He's saying yes because of the shirt. So
yeah, so we got to back it on up here. We got to
bring it back out.
Bring it back out. This video is not sponsored by Ed Gail's barbecue sauce.
Notice I am holding the bottle that was opened last night. Here's a better view of just exactly how much sauce is left.
Yeah, that's gone.
All right. I think where can we get these, Ed? You got to drop a link or something. Do I need to book a trip to Atlanta? How do
Well, I
we
mean, yes, you do, but aside from that,
Yeah, we need sworn pledges that you're not going to call hamburgers and hot dogs barbecue.
I am
I
not
think
going
Ed
to
needs
call
to see that in writing first.
Okay, I will bring.
yeah.
So another funny story on my similar barbecue story, right? So I moved to the Midwest, and the very first weekend, the only person I knew in St. Louis, she's like, "We're having a barbecue," and so I was like, "Well, I'm not clearly bringing barbecue like burgers and hot dogs, right?" So I'm like, "Let me get some carne asada," because the Mexican barbecue is literally just carne asada. I don't know if you guys have ever had carne asada.
Oh, yeah.
But try finding like millimeter thick meats in the Midwest. So I'm trying to explain to the butcher. I was like, I need something like paper thin. And he's like, our machines don't go that thin. I was like, well, they do in LA.
You should have just had to take it over to the deli slicer.
Nobody could, I to this day, I can't find carne asada in St. Louis. Like, it's just not possible.
It's kind of interesting these days because now
Mark is in the room. What's up, Mark?
Mark is in the room.
Oh my goodness!
Now we're getting big time.
Quizwiz royalty bows to Atlassian royalty. There, he's a Jiramigo.
Yeah, Mark, welcome to the Jiramigos. And we were actually talking on LinkedIn yesterday or the day before, and looks like we had some humble beginnings together at the Boeing company. So that was fun. I actually almost went to St. Louis. To Seattle to do my rotation when I was working for Boeing, but I had a baby. Well, my wife had a baby, and so I basically called Boeing to quit, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll just move your rotation to SoCal, where I was based out of." So I never got a chance to go up to the Pacific Northwest. But a little fun fact for Mark there, I might have been working in the same building as you had it not been for the baby.
All right. So Robert, Bob.
Bob, okay, so barbecue sauces, carne asadas. I totally forgot where we're going now with Mark.
Well, yeah. So I think these days, it's a little easier to get your meat sliced, paper thin, because Korean barbecue has kind of
exploded. Yeah.
I heard here in LA, like you can't even go to Korea to get like good Korean barbecue. Like it's all here in LA now. Like that's what I'm hearing. That all the great chefs have migrated over to LA. But I have yet to try it. But I'll go try it and let you guys know.
Right.
But going back to the tempo thing, Bob. So the idea that I was having, right? And I think I've seen somebody like Zephyr do this, right? Where maybe because the one annoying thing, well, not really annoying. The one caveat with tempo is everything still has to be tied to a ticket. And so even if you have your stakeholder license, like there's got to be a way to just self-time track report without having to tie it back to a Jira issue, which would then open up the opportunity for them to maybe, open like a tempo only license where you do have the ability to just simply log time independent of a Jira issue. But I don't know what Tempo's thinking over there.
The one thing I've wanted for years, and I know I'll never see this from Atlassian, but I've wanted it desperately, is ability to limit app licenses to a subset of users. Yeah. Say, look, only 1,000 people of my 10K license will be using this app. Can I just limit it to those people? Make sure that no one else has access to this app. They're not getting the functionality, but those people need it, still have it.
Oh man, I can't tell you how many times like somebody will ask me, like, "Hey, can we get this plugin installed?" And I'm like, "Sure." Do you got $12,000? And they're like, "There's like 2 of us." I'm like, "You got to pay for all of them."
Yeah. And that alone would make that conversation so much easier.
It would, but from Atlassian's perspective, man, this is whoever came up with that Atlassian knows a genius.
Yeah, I know I will never see it. It's never going to happen, but it would be a godsend for us admins.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're an enterprise, though, you do have a little bit of a workaround. I don't know if it's any cheaper or anything, right? But what we typically do in the enterprise is we'll go spool up a 50-person, 25-person, whatever, how many people Jira instance we need, we enable the plugin there. Now you can't, like, now you have different problems, but at least you're not, paying for 10,000 users when you only need like 50 or whatever.
And yeah, Federation's been the old hat trick to solve that, especially if you're on an ELA or on Enterprise.
Yeah.
But
speaking of which, guess what I got to do this week? Data center to a cloud migration. I was like sweating, but the process in the last 2 years that I did one was way smoother. I was quite happy. So Atlassian, kudos there. Couple hiccups that I have to still work through. I don't think my dashboards came over, but everything else seems to have come over.
I mean, we know Atlassian's been working on it because we all know Atlassian would love to have everyone in the cloud. And I told them, look, if this was a simple switchover, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
I logged in and immediately it's like, end of life. I was like, whoa, they really want you out of here. Because so for full disclosure, I spend very, very little time in the on-premise versions of Jira. I'm always in the cloud. By the way, Bob.
Ooh.
Dave's not here, but I told Dave it's got its permanent place in the mantle of where it's going. I'm working on the whole background still.
You know, there's a hole like right there. I need to put something.
P.O. Box. I feel like, do you guys ever watch a Home Improvement?
Once a long time ago.
So there's Tim's always saying like dumb things, and so Al puts up a sign saying, send your letters to P.O. Box or whatever. So I should we should have a P.O. Box where he's like, send all your fan mail over to this address. So enough barbecue, enough tempo. Let's get into our first topic of the day here. JiraCon 2023. Do y'all get your tickets yet?
I have gotten my tickets.
You're probably the one that's most involved into this, right? So why don't you give us a little briefing of what JiraCon 2023 is, what's going on, what to expect, when is it, the who, what, when, where.
All right. So JiraCon 2023. Those who aren't familiar with it, this is Trundle's virtual Jira conference. They bring in speakers. They show you how to do cool stuff with Jira. It's always been a blast. This is their third year running it, and this is actually my third year speaking at it. So I'm 3 for 3. This year, I'm actually going to be speaking on different, unique ways of using Jira, which anyone who knows me, that's like that's what I love more than anything. It's just the different ways people found to use this tool. So I am ecstatic. I've already got my talk done. I've got my slide deck done. I have to format it for JiraCon itself, but I am so ready for this. And actually, I think I called you or talked to you last night, Alex. They're like, hey, I actually need a moderator. You want to go to JiraCon?
Yeah, and so it's gonna be October 4th.
Yes.
From 9. Well, there's a link here.
Yeah, last year's it was a 48-hour bonanza. There was a kind of the, I don't know what they call the first world, right? There was like a North America kind of day, and then there was kind of an APAC day, right? APAC and Europe day, where it was just flat out 40 hours, kind of like your 24-hour live stream,
which is not. It looks like it's not going to happen. We just crossed over to 9,200, but we're still 800 away, and we only got 4 or 5 days left here. So I don't know. The people got to vote with their subscribe buttons. But here it is, JiraCon 2023. It's back, October 4th.
Yep. They just put out the agenda like yesterday. I will be speaking at 5 p.m. Eastern. Awesome time to speak. Hitting the prime time. Unfortunately, I am competing with Ed. I am competing with Jens. I am going against so many other people at JiraCon that's like, I'm not going to have anyone at my talk.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because this year they've actually just said we're not doing 48 hours. We're just kind of doing 24 hours of content. So
it's not even 24 hours though. It's from 9 to 3, so it's like a 8-hour or 6-hour thing.
But well, yeah. The idea here is it's just like one day. It's not.
Right,
It's not
yeah.
like a.
So they got to just pack it all up in there.
Yeah.
Price though, what is it, like 49? Oh, there's an early bird special right now, 36 or something like that. 36 USD.
There is an early bird special, $36.
Got 2 weeks.
Huh?
You got 2 weeks to get in on that.
Yeah, you got 2 weeks to get on that. I'm not going to say much, but even if you don't get it within the 2 weeks, oh Ed, I don't know how this is going to work when you're supposed to be speaking at the same time as me, man.
You do what they do on
just
Twitch, right?
Off the recording.
Yeah. You'll do what you do on Twitch, where you just grab all your followers and you all move over to the next Zoom, and so y'all just Zoom each other or something.
Yeah. But still, yeah, I've got a promo code I'll be releasing after the early bird period. So even if you're a bit late, you'll still be able to get your 30% off, which will allow you to get in at a discount. I don't want to release it just yet because, where's the fun in that?
I mean, we all procrastinate, right? We're all going to wait till the last minute anyway. So,
which is where I'm going to get all the signups. That's why I'm waiting to release my code.
Be the savior there. Yeah. So I've never been to one though. What's so cool about it? Like, I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan of Trundle, but I don't know how.
So,
I really don't know how I feel though, because like that Whiz quiz is so freaking hard.
Come on, Quiz Whiz is only one of the sessions.
I have a love-hate relationship,
or at least it was last year.
It's a love-hate relationship with Sajid, man. I've been watching everybody's, and I'm like, how? Why? Like these questions.
I have maybe been practicing my word finds for a couple of weeks now.
I found all of Ed's. I thought that was funny. It was really cool to watch Ed and Nikki go at it, because Nikki was so distracted with like, I don't know if it was Peanut or the new one that they have, but Nikki was mad at somebody.
The interesting thing was seeing Nikki when at the end when they won, right? It was just like all of a sudden the camera starts shaking up.
My favorite is I started calling Chris 007 and he got real mad at me real quick. And if you all don't know what the 007 joke is, I recommend you go to Chris Cook and you call him 007 and then go watch the last Quiz Whiz so you can see why 007 is so critical.
Yeah. And Ed brings up an interesting point here about not talking about the oranges. It's kind of like the Encanto song, "We don't talk about the orange."
So anyway,
yeah.
Tell me about, like, what should I expect? Because again, I've never been to a JiraCon, and obviously you've been there 3 for 3. So
yeah. So the big thing that makes JiraCon unique as far as virtual conferences go is you remember back at Team 23 where we were all mingling, we were all interacting, we had different lounges we could go to. We'd go to like the community group, we'd meet up here or there. They basically do the same thing virtually. They all have different lounges where you hang in, talk in chat rooms, meet other people, see what's going on. I know I'll be hanging out in the Jira and productivity chat room a lot because that's my track that I'm speaking on. I may have a meetup at some point during that, but that's the big thing is they have spaces for people to just talk. They also have vendor spaces with dedicated chat rooms. So if you want to talk to Trundle about something, maybe you're interested in hiring them for a service, you could go talk to them, see what they're about, and you're actually talking with people. It's not just an AI bot.
Yeah. And let me tell you, being able to network was probably hands down my favorite part about Team 23. Like, I mean, I don't think we would have met Bob here, because I would have never met Bob at all if it wasn't for that conference. Or half the people in this room, right? Like, I think being able to network, and then Ronnie, obviously this kicked off the whole networking there, kicked off the Jira life here, right? We finally got around to it. So yeah, if anything, best $30 was spent to go find people that are like-minded and be able to chat up with them. All right. So moving on from that, I wanted to talk about permission schemes. In the cloud, we are getting a brand new feature It's currently in the early access program. Bob, I think you're gonna like this because I thought you mentioned this last time, and I'm like, I don't know where it is, but you were just foreshadowing the future. You were just like, Bob was on the special version of Jira that's not released to the public because we're getting what you said we should be able to do, and that is we're going to be able to do priority schemes, right? So now instead of having one global, and please, Rodney, tell me that you're pulling this up. Yeah, there we go. So instead of having one giant global priority value set for that field, we are now going to be able to define your priority schemes, project specific, so that one team can have one set of values and another team can have another set of values. And I kind of just want to hear your thoughts, guys. See what you all thought. I have an opinion about this, but I'll wait till one of you two say something.
Bob, do correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe we've had this since a while now.
I was gonna say
Data center.
Yeah, it's that vaunted data center parity, right? And don't get me wrong, I work almost every day in cloud, but there's still a part of me, that likes to get his hands dirty. So, but yeah, this is a little bit of a data center parity here. For all of the Confluence whiteboards and Atlassian.
I'm still miffed about Jira Work Management not being on DC.
It doesn't exist over there?
No, JWM is not on DC.
JWM is not on DC. It's
man, you guys
is it even Jira Core? I mean, you just do Jira Core and have business projects on there, and you don't even get the JWM new templates. You get just kind of
you get the same old Jira Core that we've had since 2012.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is all news to me, but at least we get this now.
At least there's data center parity there,
Yay, we get something that you all have had for a while, apparently. No, this is cool. Atlassian will never have feature parity over two data centers. I really like this. I think my opinion here though is like I probably would have gone the context route. Maybe, I don't know. What do you guys think? Context over priority schemes. You guys are all thinking real hard.
Elaborate on context, please.
So on a custom field, you can add a context so that you can same field name, but one project will render it with X values and a different project will render with a different set of values.
Okay.
And depending on which project you're in, you're going to see A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3.
All right, right. So you're saying that
I would have preferred that. Yeah, I would have preferred it going that way over. What the heck are you doing, Ronnie?
My Firefox actually just crashed.
Your audio is garbage now.
Yeah, I've got to fix a few things still.
Technical difficulties. Stand by. We'll mute you just in case you keep typing. All right. So the scheme is an interesting approach, right? Like I just feel like as a Jira admin though, like when I'm teaching Jira for the first time, everybody's like between an issue type screen schemes, issue type scheme, screen schemes, workflow schemes. They're like, which scheme is for what scheme? And so we have way too many schemes at this point. And yeah, it can get a little hard to keep it all together.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's it took me a couple of weeks just kind of mapping it out to
That's what I was trying to do.
You're a software JSM dude.
Firefox wouldn't let you.
So you had to go to. No, you're on Firefox still. I haven't used Firefox in forever. I'm on a Chrome. I've been addicted since it first came out.
I don't trust that multicolored company.
Why not? They don't do evil. It's in their slogan. If it's their
they
slogan,
removed that about 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's not.
Did they admit to it then?
Yeah, they finally said the quiet part out loud.
Well, from the chat, what do y'all think? Have you ever struggled with your priority field, right? Because the alternatives, right, the workarounds that people have done so far have been like create custom priority fields. And so now you end up with a bunch of different priority fields. That's no bueno, right? Other things that I've done is, or that I've seen is people have like, a list of priority fields or values, right? So you just got to go find the ones that are appropriate to you. And one other thing that I have noticed, so I am dropping a video on this tomorrow, but just in case y'all weren't aware of, is when you're doing an import. So I'm curious to see how this is not going to be impacted when you're doing an import. Because when you do an import today and you have like a different set of values in your priority field, those values get appended. I think if you hit that map field checkbox or whatever, they'll get appended. So now they're values that are available to everybody. But if they're going to do it by the scheme, like, and I don't select my project, like, will that still work? So I'm kind of curious to test that out.
If I remember right, there's still the default scheme that new projects get. So those will have whatever the default is, and it's usually the one that has like all the priorities. I think it's been a while since I touched this part of Jira.
Well, there's no scheme in the cloud, right? So it's just whatever values are in there is what's in there.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming they're going to have to make a new default scheme. So then that begs the question, right? So I don't know if you've seen this phenomenon happen at the scheme level, right? But some schemes, when you create a brand new project, you'll get like a dedicated issue type scheme. You'll get a dedicated screen scheme for that project. You'll get a dedicated issue type screen scheme for that project. But what you will not get is a dedicated permission scheme. That one's shared. You won't get a dedicated field configuration. That one's shared, right? You won't get a dedicated notification scheme. That one's shared. So are they going to treat it so when you make a new project that you get the default, or are they going to do it like the other ones where each project gets their own? Like, so many questions. I can't wait. I signed up. I signed up, and I really need to get on this beta or EAP.
I suspect just enough to make MVP, right? So
just enough to get it out there. On an unrelated note, I do want to talk about my Jira Fellow of the Week. Anybody have a Jira Fellow of the Week that they want to share?
Not this week, but I'm interested in hearing what yours is.
Yeah, my Jira Fellow of the Week is warning to the wise. If you're watching this, please do as I say, not as I do. Don't sign up for betas, especially at the enterprise level. A couple months ago, I signed up for the Epic rename beta. I don't know if you guys are aware that's coming down here for the cloud. And so I signed up, and it was rocky. One day we woke up, and there were no more epics. They were like gone from Jira. Fortunately, they weren't like gone, right? But they came back fairly quickly. But it was still, everybody kind of, their heart stopped for a second there because everything was like, where'd all the epics go, right? But we try to undo this like beta, but because we were using it, Atlassian has some stipulations on how to undo the beta. Which, by the way, once you jump into a beta, it's rather challenging to get out of the beta. It's not as easy as you would think. But the problem that we've been having is, as of late, as of the latest beta, the parent field and the parent link and the epic link fields are basically non-usable now. They're like read-only text fields, right? And they refer you to a parent field that is now the new field that you want. Well, guess what's missing in my Jira? Parent field. And so I called up Atlassian and I was like, hey guys, like I can't find this field. And they're like, well, did you look in the screens? I'm like, it's like asking me if I restarted my computer. Where do you think I'm gonna go look for it? So yeah, and then they asked me like, is it in the issue type layout? And I'm like, again, well, where do you think I was looking, guys? Like I looked in the most obvious places. The field's not there. So, but yeah, a warning to the wise. My fellow of the week is definitely when you are going to be considering doing like this EAP that we just talked about, or betas in general. Do it in your sandbox. Don't do it in your production environment, and test things out thoroughly there. And keep in mind that Atlassian likes to push every single day to production, right? Or to their changes. So expect an unstable platform for some time here.
That's true unless you go for premium or enterprise and set up release tracks.
Ooh, talk to me about that because I haven't done that.
So
How?
a lot of the bigger clients I work for are very risk averse,
As it
and
should be.
so
As everybody should be.
well, yeah, and so what you do is if you're on premium, or obviously on enterprise for the products, you can set up you can say we want to be on a release track, which means that Atlassian will bundle up its changes once a month and then release them instead of releasing these enhancements and changes when they're ready. And you can what's that?
Yeah, my mind is blown away. I did not know that was the thing. I mean, I've heard about them, but I never actually clicked into the description to see what they were.
Yeah, and there's you can act. It's a setting. I think I'm not sure if it's org admin or site admin.
They're both the
I
same.
would say it's site admin.
They're both. They've become the same thing now.
It might be. Well, it might actually have to be org admin because you can also for release tracks you can specify that your sandbox you can stagger the release track so your sandbox gets the gets the changes first, and so your production is back by some period of time.
That is genius. I have not looked into that, but I mean that's something I'm definitely gonna go try out then because that is like my wife saying here is like I can't believe that this I did not know about this because this would save me so much trouble and headache.
I mean, release tracks, great thing. I love that Atlassian did it. I still wish they adopted more of the Salesforce.com model. For those of you who are not aware what that is Salesforce will actually do their release updates to their cloud product quarterly, and they make a big freaking deal. They'll have multiple webinars in multiple time zones where they talk about, okay, here's what we're changing, here's what's new, here's what's different, here's what could potentially break your configurations. And as an admin, you could go to these, you get all the details up front, and there are no surprises when they push that out.
Well, so a couple of things come to mind though about this whole updates, right? One, I like how Atlassian rolled out their board updates because it's an opt-in, right? It's a very annoying opt-in because it shows up every time you click on your board settings, but you can now opt in to get the new enhanced board view, right? That we talked about, remember a couple weeks ago in the backlog? That's the inline editing stuff. So I like that, right? Because now I can opt in and turn it on for the teams that are comfortable with it, and it can stay off for the teams that don't want it. But going back to the release track, Bob, and please do enlighten me if I'm mistaken here, because again, I never used it before. But can you cherry pick the features from that package?
No,
that would be cool. Like, right? Because if I don't want to. Because if I could completely undo, and I know you guys have heard me complain enough, right? But every time I go to view all issues, and it defaults me to the last 30 days, and I have to go and click on that dang little X every single time, it would be great if that feature didn't exist in my Jira. That's all I'm saying.
Nope. Unfortunately, you cannot cherry pick. You just you only delay the inevitable.
Delay the inevitable. That's what we should have called this episode. Can only delay the inevitable.
Dread it, run from it. Destiny comes, all the same. I'm sorry, we have to keep with the Avengers quotes. It's mandatory.
I want Pharma.
Hey, can I share a Jira fail of the day?
Oh, sure, of course.
Yes.
All right. So those of you that are banging your heads, trying to figure out why your Jira automation for cloud is not working, at all today, it's because that there was a problem at the mothership. And you can actually look at it through the status page where they've actually reported that they're still investigating it, but they have a mitigation where now if you're running a new a new automation, it should be there. There were often delay times up to about a couple hours or so. So you execute an automation, it wouldn't actually really execute for a couple of hours.
That is crazy. Like, I think so many teams come to depend on these automation rules. So, right. So, like,
Yep.
having these things go down. I've had a little hiccup maybe a month and a half ago where for like just a window of opportunity, right? Like an hour or two, these automation rules didn't run. But it's when somebody made like 50 requests and all 50 were like, we now had to go in manually and like do it manually. Like, you don't appreciate the value these automation rules bring until they're not there.
Yeah.
By the way, if you guys are not aware of the status.atlassian.com, this is Atlassian's status page, which again is their product. But this is where you go see if there's an incident happening, and if there is, you can subscribe and get live updates as a team figures out what's going on, mitigates it, etc.
What do you think caused this? Like, what would cause something like this level?
So
I hope it wasn't what happened that one time.
So I'm trying to remember what the AWS lingo for it is. It's lambdas.
Yeah.
So automations are built on serverless, the serverless architecture
Right.
in AWS,
Okay.
and I think there was a problem with the AWS lambdas.
So is it like that one Netflix? Do you guys remember when like Netflix went down not too long, like 3 or 4 years ago? Like there was like a whole region that
Which
AWS.
time?
Well, there was like this one time where like Netflix went down and like Apple TV went down, but like Amazon Prime Video stayed up.
Actually, it's historically it's been the reverse. Usually on AWS, because everybody's doing everything on AWS, particularly on a specific data center, US East 1. When that goes down, it gets hit hard. And this was like years and years ago, where US East 1 went down, and this affected banks like Chase and Citi and Apple TV, and Netflix was the only one that wasn't affected. And this was when they revealed that they had specific tools.
Oh, right. Yeah,
they actually, that they called the Simian Army.
Yeah, I've seen.
Started out with Chaos Monkey, which simulated in production in their production AWS. What would happen if a monkey came in and started disconnecting the server nodes? Could the application rebound from that? And it helped make Netflix more resilient. And so Chaos Monkey gave way to other monkeys, so to speak, to simulate. Okay, what happens if one of the data centers in the zone goes down? So
yeah, I think Netflix publishes an article. Pat published an article on that. It was a really good read. Yeah. I remember. So I don't know if you guys know this about me, but in a previous past life, I actually used to do quite a bit of cybersecurity myself here. And I remember one of my employers were like, "We need to do like some, like some pen testing and stuff, penetration testing." And I was like, "Yeah, let's just do it during work hours." They're like, "No, we need to do it like on a little server on the side and like on the weekend." I'm like, "Right," because the hackers are gonna be cautious and considerate, and only do it during that time. But yeah, it's interesting. I think not a lot of companies that I've heard like do this level of like testing that like Netflix, right? And it's evident like as more and more companies, right? Because like I said, right, just even an hour being down here, the automation rules, that's just one company, right? Imagine like 250,000 clients that Atlassian has, and they all depend on these automation rules. Like you need to be cooking up some more chaos monkeys there.
For all we know, this was caused by chaos monkeys.
As long as
that would be an interesting read.
As long as it wasn't the great outage of 2022. That one was funny. Somebody deleted the file.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was intentional. We're sorry.
Was it Amazon that one? Was it? I think it was probably that one time that Amazon went down, right? It was because somebody like fat fingered something in accidentally. They thought it was like a cybersecurity attack, but it was like just an employee that put in a typo or whatever.
Oh, I think you're thinking about time Facebook's entire network got locked up because someone fat fingered their interconnects between the different data centers.
Didn't you have a similar problem one time, Ronnie, where you ran the wrong Linux code or ran Linux?
That is an old fail, but I'm always happy to talk about it. Do we have time for another fail?
We got 15
we have
minutes
time
and
for
we're
another
going to
fail.
talk about Bitbucket. I think we got time. Let's talk about it real quick. And then
All right, so if you're ever running commands on a server, which I know we're all going to cloud, but still, if you're ever running commands on a server, always double check the commands you run and always have them written down beforehand and just copy and paste them in. Here's why. I was doing an upgrade. This is during my first Atlassian gig. I was also managing a bunch of other servers, including Terraforce. And I wasn't really, I was doing a production upgrade, but I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was Mr. Hotshot. I was junior admin. They all think this at some point until they know better. So I was just typing commands. I was doing this in the middle of the day because I was told this wouldn't be a problem. This is like the week before Christmas. No one's really doing any work. I should be fine to just get this update done real quick. And as I said, I was dumb enough to believe it. So I'm sitting there, I'm doing this, and in order to run this command, first I have to change the permissions to allow me to run it. Well, I'm not paying attention to the command I'm typing, and I missed a period, a very critical period. So rather than changing all the permissions in this one directory I'm in, I'm now changing permissions on the entire drive to be owned by me. On our main code repository system.
Oh,
talk about ego, man.
That's where I earned a large dose of humble pie. I realized what I did after about 30 seconds, so it had not had time to run fully when I canceled it out. And I'm like, wow, this is taking a long time. Wait, I did not. Oh my God, I did not. You mean if you were with me, you probably could have seen the color drain from my face.
I would have probably
as I realized what I did. But I got it. I exited out of it real quick. I went through, figure out, okay, these are the permissions changed. Let's go ahead and get them fixed. Get everything reset. We should be good. Thankfully, Linux is fairly resilient if it's already running. It would have been a major problem during the next boot up had I not caught it. But because it was already running system, everything was already in memory, I was saved. I was able to get things fixed before it became an incident and brought anything down. But that was a scary 30 minutes afterwards getting everything fixed.
Oh man, sometimes you wish you were an ostrich or whatever, right? You can just stick your head in the ground.
But no, I was sysadmin and our job was to fix problems, and this is now a problem.
This is the reason why I just went to just Jira admin. I don't got to worry about that stuff. I couldn't even type you a Linux command anymore. I know that feeling. Yeah, so let's maybe Bob, did you have any embarrassing stories?
Any embarrassing stories? Do I want to share?
That the internet should be aware of?
Well, have you ever heard of some guy missing a semicolon and the AT&T network for the entire East Coast was basically out of service? Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Yeah,
I know the story. I was about to say, do not tell me that because I was impacted.
All right. I'll tell you guys a funny. Wait, Bob, was no relation, or were you just like pulling my leg here?
I was pulling your leg.
Oh,
It wasn't
well,
me, but it did happen. Somebody forgot to type in a semicolon, and the long distance network for AT&T was for like the entire East Coast, affecting several states went down. But it wasn't me. I swear to God, it wasn't me.
So I'll tell you a story about somebody pulling my leg and like me being almost like a new change of clothing here once. So I'm a Cold Fusion developer as an intern working at my alma mater. And the very first time that my boss gave me the ability to push code to production, the moment that I hit like commit or like merge on my code, the university's website goes down. And keep in mind that this code is for at the university level. So I am like freaking out because I was like, holy moly, the whole like domain just went down. I'm like, it couldn't have been me. Like I was just changing such a small piece. Like it wasn't me. So I go to my boss and I'm like freaking out. And I'm like almost in tears. And like he's like, what'd you do? Because he couldn't get into anything either. And so he went with it for like a good hour, making me think like it was me. Before I realized that it wasn't me, that it couldn't have been me. Because I'm like sitting there retracking all my steps and trying to redo everything. That was like the worst boss I ever had. He let me believe for at least an hour that it was actually me who brought down the whole school's domain. It was so bad. But fortunately, it was not me. But for that hour,
So
was the best hour of my life.
let me ask you this: did you do it again?
No. I'm a big believer in fool me once, shame on me, or fool me once, shame on you. What is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Measure a million times, cut once.
Yeah, I quadruple check. Although I will say that as a Jira admin, you get a little cocky sometimes, and every once in a while, you make these careless mistakes that you're so comfortable doing these things every day in, day out.
I'm kind of a big fan, like what Rodney is saying, where you have it out there and you just Control C, Control V it, and even and then you and even then, if you trust yourself, or I then do up arrow to get to the previous ones, and
that's usually how when I used to roll with the Linux world, I used to do the up.
I don't even do that anymore, Bob.
You use the
Ansible all the way.
there you go.
Times have changed, man.
Nothing. There's nothing like a little infrastructure as code.
So we got a couple minutes left. I wanted to talk about some other cool thing that Atlassian is going to be pushing out here soon. This is on the roadmap, so this is something that's not currently available, but something that Atlassian is actively working on, and that is going to be unified user management for their cloud products, right? And so right now, if you are a Jira Cloud user, or I should say an Atlassian Cloud customer, you get your Jira software, your Jira Work Management, your Jira Product Discovery, your Jira Service Management, and your Confluence, kind of all in one interface, right? So you can turn on and off licenses and manage your users from that perspective. But the DevOps world gets screwed over pretty badly, right? Because Bitbucket kind of just does its own thing on the side, right?
Yeah.
And so managing users in Bitbucket and access and everything else, it's a pain because now you got to go to different places, and it's not really enterprise friendly, right? It's definitely not like a very well implemented like enterprise-wide strategy.
Yeah, it's kind of like where GitHub is kind of already there, probably because they've been dragged kicking and screaming by Microsoft.
So fortunately for all you Bitbucket people out there, Bitbucket is going to get folded into being with the Cool Kids Club. And from that unified interface from admin.atlassian.com, you're also going to be able to manage your Bitbucket users, right? So that's going to be great from a licensing perspective. I think also from a billing perspective, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to be able to see just one bill. So that should hopefully help companies out. Now,
Hallelujah.
My biggest pain point, and I just wanted to ask you about, because I think you use Bitbucket, or even you, Ronnie, you use Bitbucket a little bit more than I do, right? But how do you manage when you have multiple teams that want, like, how do you manage multiple teams that need Bitbucket? Like, do you have like a single Bitbucket and then a lot of repos, or does every team get their own Bitbucket? Like, what do you all do there?
So the way that I do it is Bitbucket. Bitbucket is kind of followed kind of the model that you see in GitLab and GitHub, where you have things bigger than repos, or you can kind of abstract out things. So in GitLab, it's groups and organization, right?
Yes.
Right, Rodney?
Yeah.
Groups and organization. I think GitHub is kind of the same thing. They do groups and they do organization. In Bitbucket, you can have projects, and then you can have workspaces. And so these are kind of these higher level abstractions where you can set up users to be members of projects and then workspaces. The it's not as cut and dried, I don't think. I think actually
projects, I think, is fairly straightforward. It's the workspaces that get a little abstract.
But if I'm hearing you correctly though, you have just one Bitbucket instance. Then you kind of divvy up amongst your different teams.
Yeah.
So I don't have that. I have like 20 different Bitbuckets.
That's probably kind of one of the pains of because you're getting all this through M&A, right?
Right. Yeah.
New merger comes in, and then you get to inherit all their
baggage,
all their Atlassian tools, and kind of merge them together. And the merge on the Bitbuckets is non-existent, if not hurting.
Insert bleeped out word here.
I think the word I use in general when I'm in polite society is painful.
Painful, yeah. Well, I'm just glad that Atlassian's given Bitbucket a little bit of love. I think it's a very important tool that is used by a lot of software developers.
Question though, I mean, Bitbucket's on board, and I'm all for that. Absolutely.
Yes, Mr. GitLab.
But Verity would never forgive me if I didn't ask. Trello.
What about Trello? Oh,
that's like the last one.
I mean, I'm already getting billed for it.
Yeah.
So I don't see why I don't have them all visible there.
Exactly.
My Atlassian Access bill, I gotta pay for the Trello, but I can't manage the Trello users.
And that's a headache we're facing right now. So I have to bring it up. Atlassian, please.
Let's get all of our tools unified. One place. One love. What is it? Better together, impossible alone. And on that note, why don't we wrap this one up a couple minutes early, because I am starving and I got a meeting with Bob in 2 minutes.
All right.
Thank you all for coming.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, thank you all for coming. Appreciate y'all being here. We do have, as teasers, we are going to have 2 guest speakers in the month of September. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're coming back. We are going to have 2 confirmed guest speakers. We're working on a 3rd. And then we have 2 superstar guest speakers, if you will. Although this is not fair to the other speakers, but I call them superstars.
They're all superstars.
I mean, come on. But we have some high-profile individuals that we're negotiating coming onto the podcast here. So stay tuned for those announcements. But hopefully, very, very soon, we'll be able to lock in some details here and be able to share with you. But great things are happening behind the scenes here in the Jira Life.
All right,
go ahead, Ronnie.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Jira Life. My friend here is Alex Jira Ortiz. You find him at youtube.com/@8techtechtutorials. This week, he's been a little bit all over the place. Really trying to get him pushed up to 10K. So if you have not subscribed to Alex, subscribe to him. Please
subscribe.
I need to get him to do that 24-hour stream. I need to see the torture. All right. My name is Rodney, you can, better known as the Jira Guy. You can find my blog at thejiraguy.com. This week, I look over GitLab and say, why would you limit yourself to just one repo tool? You can catch this podcast and join the other Jira Amigos every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/@JiraLife. Be sure to join us and the Jira Amigos each week to ask questions, give comments, and join the fun. If you can't join us live, you can find this podcast on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you think this podcast deserves a rating, please do. It definitely helps us out. And as always, we didn't choose the Jira life.